Hey y'all, it's Kobe R. Rice, and I'm back again for another weekly creative update. And actually, I don't think that this week's update is going to really be that intense because, it's funny, but with graduate school not taking over my entire life, there's just so much more time for me to kick back and relax and breathe and sleep and eat and take care of myself. And also, I sort of noticed that like my deep focus mentality has carried over from this past semester into the summer. So, which I'm actually excited about because I'm actually able to get a lot of things done and off my plate a lot more quickly just by like focusing on just that project for like 1 to 3 days. So because I've sort of switched my focus, and I'm going into a more deep level focus, I have fewer things to report for the week, but the things that I do have to report are actually completed projects and completed milestones, as opposed to me having 10 different projects going and all 10 of them are incomplete. The one thing that I am trying to develop is just making sure that my writing stays on point. So I planned for this week for me to jump back into writing, as in creating new words, not editing. Because as you guys know, for the past couple of weeks, I've been in an editor, publisher, polisher phase. Because of the fact that I just finished my contribution to the 2054 anthology, which is coming out mid-June. So we're really excited about that. And so because I've been in that editor's mind state and I'm also in the deep focus mind state, I was focusing specifically on getting that story polished up and done and finished. So this is exactly why, based on all these things I just said, this is why this podcast is going to be called Self-Care is Queen, Deep Focus is on FLEEK, and Developing Habits, because I've just discovered that a lot of the qualities and just the main goals that I had at the beginning of the year are coming to fruition in very interesting ways, but specifically they're coming to fruition by me focusing on self-care, deep focus, and developing habits. So I'll talk a little bit more about that today, but before I jump into that, I guess that was my little intro. Welcome back to my epic, fantastical journey of a Black female sci-fi writer podcast. I'm Kobe R. Rice, novelist, screenwriter, director, CEO, and also founder of Media Fempire in Progress. Not exactly Time Warner, but we're trying to get there type of deal. And this is episode number 68, and I am logging all of my creative achievements and milestones that I've basically realized between Monday, May 7th and Sunday, May 13th, which, by the way, was Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all of you mommies out there, and to all of you daddies who may not have, the mother of your child in their lives, and you're fulfilling both roles. I am not above saying happy Mother's Day to parents, or happy Father's Day to parents who are fulfilling both roles. Some people are hella salty about that. I don't really know why. This seems to be, an issue that's hot amongst a very particular enclave and a very particular community. So that's all I'll say about that. But getting back to the main point, if you're a mom in any capacity, even if you're a grandmom, who's just taking care of your grandbabies, and you want to claim motherhood for your child and for your child's child, do you, boo. So happy Mother's Day. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys relaxed and took care of yourselves. I definitely did on Sunday, and I got a call from my sweet pea, which was excellent and lovely. Okay, so let's get into the podcast, because of my deep focus sort of mentality, there aren't too many major things to report for this past week. On top of that, I was also, as you guys know, I was finishing up my graduate school responsibilities from Monday the 7th to Wednesday the 10th. So actually half of my week was spent focusing on finishing up graduate school. Again, deep focus. So that's another reason why I don't have too many milestones for this week, but that's cool. So I'm just going to jump right into like the more personal aspect of the podcast first, and then get to professional business and writing at the end of it, because self-care took up a major part of this past week, especially because you guys all know that I've been decompressing and, just pondering and ruminate all of the different things that have happened and events that have transpired this past semester. And I have realized a really wonderful, I guess, milestone in that regard, in that I'm pretty much over it now. I mean, I wouldn't say that suddenly rainbows and sunshine are coming out of my eyes, and everyone who was involved with all the various events that I found to be negative are suddenly now vindicated. That's not the case. But I finally have been able to get enough emotional distance from all the things that have happened this semester in order to just not feel so deeply impacted by it, which is good. It's actually a milestone on my part. I do tend to, despite the fact that I have a very strong, exterior, I'm also like very soft inside, so there was a lot of me trying to figure out like who I was as an artist and why these things were happening, why I was experiencing these things, what was I doing to help these things happen, how was I serving as a catalyst or as a source of negativity in these situations, et cetera, et cetera. And I finally gotten to the point where I'm just like, you know what? I'm good. I'm sleeping. I'm resting. I'm eating well. I'm exercising. I'm focusing on me, on the things that I want to do in the next year, focusing on my creative projects. Like, peace, whatever. Peace out. I'm glad it's over and I'm over it. It also helped, too, that I just saw at the end of my semester, like the fruits of all my labor in both my portfolio growth and also in the fact that I got all A's this past semester, which I wasn't in fear of not getting good grades, but with all the negativity and craziness that was happening, I definitely wasn't really sure where I stood in certain situations. And I was second guessing myself and my work ethic, which I shouldn't, because that's really all that I do. But in any case, moving on from that, I feel like I finally healed, or at least I am like most of the way through my healing process. And so that's really great. And because I've been able to focus pretty much from Thursday up until like today, and I will be able to focus on this for the rest of the semester, on my self-care, I've just been getting better and better because I literally have just been putting all this energy into like renewing myself on multiple levels, spiritually, emotionally, physically, health-wise, mentally, and so on and so forth. So that's been really, really wonderful. Been cooking a lot more, which is great. You guys know I love to cook. I call myself the kitchen ninja. And I realized that like I've lost a couple of degrees in my black belt since I've been in graduate school because I haven't had time to cook. So I am working on like getting back into my dojo, my kitchen dojo, and re-earning those stars that I have lost. But at the same time, I'm also trying to balance out me getting back into gourmet cooking and stuff with my new sort of outlook on health and wellness and portions and eating whole foods and things like that. FYI, I have decided not to go vegan. I'm just like not that strong. And on top of it, I realized that my reasons for wanting to go vegan didn't necessarily require me going vegan. And this is not insulting anybody who's listening, but I wouldn't say most, a lot of vegans go vegan, not necessarily for the health benefits per se, but because they have like moral issues with our farming industry. And there's nothing wrong with that. Stand wherever you want to stand on that. But, and I also have those same issues, but my main reasons for going vegan were because I wanted to become more aware and more involved and more in control of what goes into my body and of my health in terms of eating more plants, vegetables, and like, fiber and things like that. And I realized that I could do that without necessarily cutting out meat or dairy, which for me is hard to do. Like, I love eggs. I'm not really a huge fan of milk. I love almond milk, but like regular milk makes me yak because it's just like too thick and too creamy. And I love cheese, But I do realize, as with all things, moderation is key, right? So I realize, like, yeah, I can still eat cheese. I just have to be aware of how much I'm using and how much I'm eating. Excuse me. And that's the same thing with everything else. Like, I can still eat meat. I just need to be aware of how much I'm eating. I don't need to eat a whole rack of ribs. I can maybe just, like, have two, or not eat meat at every single meal, but, like, have it once or twice a day in moderation. Also combined with, like, exercise and just deciding what your personal health goals are as a person, as an artist. I think it's important for us as artists, especially because we tend to be more sedentary, to be aware of where we are physically and mentally and emotionally with our health, figure out what our goals are, and then modify our diets and our exercise accordingly. So, everybody's going to have their own different way of engaging with their own health. But I wouldn't say that I've completely found a new way that I'm comfortable with. I'm still exploring new avenues, and I'll see where I can stick to them more stringently and also bend in places where I just feel I can bend. Like, for me personally, I don't think an occasional slice of cake or some cookies every once in a while is a big deal. But again, as with everything else, if you have certain goals and health goals, you have to be aware of what's going into your body. So, FYI, just long story short, focusing more on self-care, more on sleeping, more on exercise, health, and things like that. And it's having great results. Great results, even if I do say so myself. So I'm excited about that. Spent a lot of time this past week too, just like getting more centered in the home. Aside from like just cooking more, I've just been like doing the stuff that I need to have done like over the course of the semester, but that I just didn't have any time to do. For example, just housework, and even though I tend to hire out for those things, I try not to, but when I have to, and I do usually have to because I like being in a clean house, but I'm also usually really busy, I tend to hire out for those things. But when I can, I try to do my part. I do like laundry and stuff like that. So I was at home for 4 days, like my first real rest since spring break this semester, and I was resting, but I was like, well, let me also get some stuff done. So that's what was happening. Nothing major. I mean, this is like kind of boring everyday stuff. So let me like hurry up and get to like the real tea. Okay, so this is where we get more into the creative planning part of the whole podcast. And the creative part in general. I spent a lot of time this past week checking in with my creative goals in terms of the 3-year plan that I wrote when I first came here. When I first came to the University of Arizona in the summer of 2016, before I got here, I literally sat down and wrote out maybe a 10-page plan as to what I wanted to have done by the time I left here. And not only did I write out like basically a 3-year goal list, but I also wrote out what I wanted to do at a particular time in my career here. So at the end of year 1, I would have done this, 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 and this. At the end of year 2, I would have done this, 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 and this. Like, I was very, very methodical about my goals. So I went back into my 3-year plan just to check in, because I do that at the end of every year pretty much. And I'm just really excited to report that pretty much what I set out to do in 2016, that summer, I have done, or I am on my way to doing. And that's really exciting. It keeps affirming for me that when you sit and write your goals out or speak them or make them real in whatever way, it really increases the likelihood that you are going to achieve those goals. Somehow, even though I only look at this plan like maybe once a year, putting those goals out there seem to have set them down into my subconscious and my psyche, such that everything that I do, both in graduate school and outside of graduate school, is constantly pushing me toward those goals. Now, that doesn't mean that I have achieved every single creative achievement and every single milestone that I set out to achieve. That's not really the case. Sometimes I have to adjust my plan and I have to adjust my schedule. Other times, I am on the way to achieving those things, but it will take another year or 2 years, but I'm still making progress. So I just say that to say that as a creative, as an artist, it's so important that you set your goals down. You like take time to develop a 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10 year plan. I know that sounds really cheesy and you guys have heard it a million times, but I find for me personally that it really works. And I highly recommend doing that, because then even if you don't believe in metaphysical things like affirmations or mantras or speaking into the universe, just logically and logistically, if you write a goal down and you refer back to your plan every single month, it will keep it at the forefront of your mind, and you will keep reminding yourself of that goal and keep working towards that goal, and watch for opportunities for you to make progress toward that goal. So whether you believe in metaphysics or just plain statistical significance, it works. Writing your goals down and keeping them in front of you really works. And that's why, as I keep mentioning to you guys, I had this entire wall in front of me of my projects. As a matter of fact, I want to show you guys. Can I turn this thing around? Is it dangerous to turn my computer around? Hold on a second. I want to actually show you guys what my project wall looks like. Okay. There we go. Sorry, I'm like really bad at at holding this laptop so you can see. But this is what my project wall looks like. It is literally insane. All those little post-it notes you see right there with the top row of pink and all of that, all of those are my projects that I want to get done before I leave this university. I'll turn it back around to face me. So this is for those of you who are watching like the vlog version of this, okay? So yes, my project wall looks insane. And it makes me look like I'm kind of cray-cray too. But the bottom line is, guys, is that having this project wall in front of me is essentially like having an entire goal list in front of me every single day, so that whenever I look up or whenever I sit at this computer, which is pretty much every day for a few hours every day, I know what it is I'm trying to get done. And at some point, you know, assuming that like I'm still around, God willing, I will have finished all of these projects. At least I'm hoping that that's what will happen. So yeah, just another testament to me not just talking all of my stuff, but actually believing in the power of writing things down and manifestation. Okay, so I did that. I also completely updated my portfolio. I told you guys about this before, that I was working on a portfolio list of all the things I've accomplished since I have woken up as an artist. And that was about in the fall of 2012. And the list is a lot longer than I thought. And I actually met someone the other day, one of my Lyft drivers, who kind of affirmed how much I knew about certain things, because we got to talking and he talked about like he was nervous about the fact that his dream was to be a game designer and to open up his own gaming studio. Like he didn't want to affirm it because he was afraid it sounded ridiculous. And of course, you guys know me, I want to build Chick Rogue Studios into the ultimate game development studio, like on the level of like Rockstar Games, you know, and Eidos and you know, all these other different game design development houses. And we were talking about that, and of course I lit up because we're both interested in the same things. And so I told him like all the things that I wanted to do, the fact that I had been a game writer, that I still am, you know, even though I'm not like working on any games actively at the moment. I have a portfolio of at least 3 games that I've worked on and 2 games that I've programmed, you know. So and that my interest is still very active, and I had all these resources for this guy. And I just said, you know what, like, I think he was like, you know, like young college student, you know, just striking out into the world and you know, looking. I was like, okay, like, let me just give me your email. I'm going to send you everything that I have on game design and game writing. And I realized how much I actually knew about game writing and narrative design. I don't know as much about, say, physics or engines or mechanics or programming as I would like, but when it comes to game writing, like, I know quite a bit, even though in my personal opinion, I could certainly use more training and learn a lot more for sure. But it just sort of, that entire interaction and the fact that I was able to give him like endless resources on game writing and game design just really affirmed for me, I guess, the legitimacy of my own knowledge and my own artistic perspective. And it's not that I didn't believe in myself as a game designer or as an artist, but sometimes you don't really know how much you actually know until somebody asks you about it. And being that I don't really have a huge circle of friends out here, and I have zero friends out here or really anywhere who are actually actively working in the game industry, like affirming that I could help someone to at least get to where I had gone was really wonderful and just powerful for me. And it also sort of reignited the fact that I myself would love to have the opportunity to continue to build on those skills. So I say all that to say that sitting down and reflecting on my portfolio list has been great in a lot of ways, but especially in the fact that I've been able to just appreciate again everything that I've done. And I know I said that on the last podcast, so I don't want to rehash that, but that was just like an experience I wanted to share with you, which I thought was really cool. And then I also updated the project and development slate for Rebel Ragdoll. So you guys know that that's always growing. It's always, expanding, even if nothing else is happening. Even if like all my hands were cut off and I couldn't type ever, there would still be ideas coming out of my head. And I would still be writing because I have Dragon, so, my Dragon naturally speaking dictation software. So the creation just never stops and I love it. So let's get more into what I did creatively. So one thing that I did is that I did work on the Bohemian Badass last week. I started generating more blog post ideas, podcast ideas, like series ideas, and just general topics and areas of interest that I want to focus on in growing the Bohemian Badass as a brand. So that was helpful. That, of course, was a part of one of my assignments of the Publish Your Thing course that I take at byregina.com. She's amazing. Take that course if you're trying to build an independent creative business. That is the course to take. I keep telling you guys about that. I cannot literally talk about it enough. But the other thing that I did this week was that I actually worked on and finished an entire script breakdown for a new horror movie that's a relatively new horror movie that's been out called A Quiet Place. And guys, if you have not seen A Quiet Place, you need to go see it. It is excellent. It is literally one of the best horror movies I have seen in a long time. And actually, it's not even really horror. It's more thriller suspense, but it is exceptionally well done. It is an amazing movie. It literally has a 95% on Rotten Tomatoes. The idea and the premise is fresh. Just the perspective on the characters and on family, I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, is really fresh and wonderful. So it has a lot of very interesting and resonant character development things going on there, and it has a lot of resonant family and character themes, but it also has some really amazing just straight up horror trope. Like, it has all the tropes of a kick-ass horror film and all of the things that you love and expect, but taken up a notch. But then it also has a really grounded, anchored character story. And again, I will keep saying this until the end of time. For me, that is the kind of horror that I really love and I really enjoy. I have to put it on my list of films to review when I finally get around to reviewing that and Infinity War. But horror films like that are the ones that make it to my personal top 10 list. I don't even have really a top 10 list. That's how picky I am about my horror. I mean, I'm a little partial to 90s horror, like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, etc., etc. I'm not really sure if they make it into my top 10. But for me right now, my top 10 horror/suspense films include 28 Days Later, I'm going to put Night of the Living Dead up there because even though it's not my favorite horror film, it was still the progenitor of socially impactful, socially aware, character-driven horror. So I can't leave it off the list. So 28 Days Later, Night of the Living Dead, Get Out, obviously, Babadook. I would say Don't Breathe, but for different reasons. I really, really enjoy Don't Breathe. It's also more of a suspense and thriller film as opposed to a horror film, but it's still really good. And then A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place had me shook. I mean, I shook, not even in fear, but just like, oh my God. So much so that I took 2 days after I saw it to literally write down and type out, I believe it came to a total of 20 pages. It was a 20-page script analysis of every single scene, every single beat, every single horror scene, every single character, every single reveal, every single, like every single mini beat inside of a horror scene, so I can see how a horror scene escalates second by second. That's how in depth I got. And then I also found the original script, which in my opinion thus far, as I started to read it, is not nearly as good as the film, but whatever. So I'm glad that I did like a breakdown of the actual film itself, because the film was like perfect. But I saw that film and I was like, man, this is exactly how horror should be, particularly survival horror. If you're going to do survival horror, like this is precisely exactly what it should be. And so I'm breaking that down, and I will be offering that as a free download at The Bohemian Badass when it's time to open up that area around horror writing and survival horror. And I will be developing my own survival horror, just novels and scripts and screenplays and stuff like that. But I think I'm going to do more script analyses and film breakdowns like that, because I learned a lot by breaking down A Quiet Place. And now I have a structure that I can use without using the actual idea or the characters themselves. And for me, structure is extremely powerful. When you have a kick-ass structure and you have really great ideas and you have something unique and fresh, like a fresh hook, you can pretty much make anything. It's sort of like having, I don't know, I guess maybe having a kick-ass structure for a script is kind of like having a really awesome cast iron skillet for your kitchen, right? It's sort of all-purpose, and that's like the main tool you need to make a bomb-ass souffle or a bomb-ass, like medley, or whatever it is. You can actually make quite a few things in a cast iron skillet, from bread to cornbread to stovetop stuff to pies. I mean, you could really do it big. But it's like that structure is a cast iron skillet, and it's really just up to you to find fresh new ingredients and fresh recipes and try new things that you want to try, and just try those out in the cast iron skillet. But you know that skillet is going to really help you bring it home. So that's how I see the structure of A Quiet Place. And so I highly recommend that film. I learned a lot about horror writing from that film. It's going to help me a lot when it comes to writing Sandman. And so that was a part of my self-care by just like taking myself to the movies, but also part of me developing some lead magnets and just different things that I would have on offer for free at The Bohemian Badass. So, that was great. It took about 2 days to do with some breaks in between. Creative Uni. So aside from teaching myself more about horror through the script breakdown, I also finished this amazing class that was hosted by Reedsy and Draft to Digital, which is called How to Create a Proper Marketing Plan for Your Next Book. Now, mind you, I already thought I had at least one aspect of marketing down pat, and with this one seminar, I realized that there is a lot that I could learn from kind of stepping back and taking some more marketing classes. I mean, I already take so many, but I really need to go back to basics and develop both a long-term marketing plan and a short-term marketing plan, as well as medium-term marketing plans. I would say medium-term marketing plans are more like how to launch a book, right? Because you're going to be doing that every 4 to 6 months, maybe even 2 to 3 months if you're super fast. Short term is like basically what you do on a day-to-day basis in order to keep marketing your book. So I would consider short term stuff like advertising, ad bursts, newsletter swaps, when you're doing things like that, giveaways, monthly giveaways or weekly giveaways, stuff like that. And then your long-term marketing plan obviously deals with like your mailing list and all the things that you're doing to slowly and steadily bring in your fan base, whether that is offering a freebie book or using social media judiciously. That could be Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc. Whether you're podcasting or blogging on a regular basis like I am. And so, I really looked into marketing hardcore when I first started on this journey in 2012, 2013. But it's really time to revisit my marketing plan and really just nail one down. And I'm going to use what I learned in the masterclass to really do that and to expand my horizons on that. So that was very educational for me. And that's actually probably what I'm going to work on after I get off this podcast. Actually, what I really have to work on is what I'll talk to you guys about next, which is that, so for this past week, I also developed a marketing plan for the 2054 anthology that I'm a part of, as I've been talking about. And tonight, I'm in charge of a bunch of the marketing parts of it. Not only do I have to format all of the stories into ebook form and paperback form, but I also have to set up the King Sumo giveaway, which is a viral giveaway method that we use to get more readers onto a list. I also will be setting up the newsletter swap sign-up sheet, which I've actually already done, and I just need some feedback on that, and then I'll kind of lock that up. But I'll also be managing that part as well. So I'll be getting a lot of emails from a lot of authors for marketing opportunities between basically June 14th, to June 24th. And I have to sort of manage all of that. So definitely was working on that. I will probably have to do all of that before I actually work on my own marketing plan for my own business. But that is one thing that I did accomplish this past week. And by the end of today, after this podcast is over, later this evening, I will have finished the formatting for 2054, the anthology. We just got our paperback cover. We do have a paperback cover sort of in process, but we just got back our 3D box set ebook cover for the anthology, and it is looking sickening. I love it. It looks just, I want to eat it. It looks like a freaking snack. It's a cyberpunk anthology. It looks amazing, and I'm super psyched. And we're going to actually keep doing it. So FYI, we are officially going to keep doing this until the end of 2019. So in total, each of us will write 3 stories. We'll have 3 anthologies put out into the world, and then at the end of 2019, for our 4th and final release, I believe we will have a full-on box set of 12 different novellas from the 2054 world. We've also set up, not me, but my colleagues have also set up a Medium site for our project, and it's called project54.com, so go check it out. We're also setting up an actual website for our project, because this is going to probably become a larger sort of sci-fi cyberpunk world, wherein we might even invite other authors and contributors to write stories in the world that we're building, which is great. So this is becoming a sort of larger project that's a collaborative project between the 4 of us that will be ongoing at least until the end of 2019, and that's super exciting. It's exciting for me because I realize that I am not an imposter when it comes to writing some stuff and finishing my novels, because as you guys know, I write really long, dystopian / urban epic fantasy novels right now, and they take a long time for me to finish and publish. And so I was concerned and worried for myself, having lost a little bit of faith. I was like, am I going to be able to finish this short story in a decent amount of time? And actually, yes, I was able to do it. I did it. It was great. I'm already thinking about what I want to write for the next short stories, and each one of the stories I'll be contributing will be a part of a franchise that I'm already building on the Rebel Ragdoll slate. So as far as I'm concerned, not only is this great for us collectively, but for me, it's great for me personally because I get to meet more sci-fi fans, more cyberpunk fans and readers before I even release all of my other sci-fi work, even while I'm still working on dystopian urban fantasy stuff. And that's great. And I'll be able to start building up that community more. Right now, I'm more connected with the dystopian and urban fantasy community, and I do want to keep connecting with that community, but I also would like to have a community sort of in place by the time I start releasing my other works, like the Camille, like the Legacy series that I'm writing, et cetera, et cetera. So that's super exciting. Just that whole project has really grown, and I've grown with it, and I think that it's going to be really amazing. It's already amazing, and I guess I just really appreciate the impact that it's having on me in terms of how I've been forced to grow and adapt as an author and as an artist. So look forward to that. It's coming out officially on June 14th. Yes, we have a release date. 2054 will be out June 14th. I will be talking about it until it's out and even beyond that. And when it is available for pre-order, I will be putting it in my podcasts and all over my blog and website. So stay tuned for that. Super amped about all of that. And I think that is basically it. I'm just going to end with the fact that, again, I'm here to at this point, I'm thinking much more critically about the role of marketing in my author process and my artistic process. And I have to admit that I was a little bit uncomfortable expanding or dealing with a marketing plan, not because I didn't think it was important. It is, but I felt as though I didn't have the right to, because I only have 2 books, well now 3 coming out out there. And so I've heard so many things on podcasts, for example, authors saying that you don't really get much traction financially or fan wise until the 5th or 6th or even 8th book. So I felt like I shouldn't even focus on marketing until book number 8, and I should just have my email list up and running. But I think that that's a mistake. And I think it was smart of me, even though I didn't plan it this way. It was smart of me to join up with an anthology and with a really amazing group of authors, because now I'm going to be essentially forced, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but forced to write and release, and market pretty much all year round until the end of next year at the latest. And in that process, I can not only learn more about marketing, but I can just start expanding my reader base. And I learned that I can focus on marketing and I can write my novels at the same time. And both endeavors are legitimate. I don't really know why I felt so frozen up by the fact that I felt like I needed more books out there before I could do anything that made sense or that was worth anything marketing wise. Not really sure where I ran into that block. I didn't even know that I really had that block until I started working on this project. So this 2054 anthology has been very educational and very helpful for me, and I'm super excited about that. So having said that, y'all, the goals for this coming week are, of course, finish out all of my marketing stuff for 2054, sit some more creative, unique classes as usual, try to start developing my marketing plan, which is great. Of course, work every single day writing new words for Hollow Point and The Haunt, which are books 3 and 4 of the Books of Ezekiel series, continuing my world building, etc. And also, just an update before I go on Pendragon, I have officially developed an entire schedule, syllabus / program for my colleague and I for us to start working on Pendragon. I mean, this is the ultimate TV writing syllabus. And hopefully after this summer is over, we won't have to do as much for the next project as we are now. But because we're both doing the project and we're learning more about TV writing at the same time, I not only have project milestones and goals in place, but I also have assigned the both of us readings. I've assigned to both of us lesson plans and lectures that we have to take and study online, because I have access to a bunch of courses for TV writing, including Shonda Rhimes' TV writing class, and also the 2 modules for Create Binge-Worthy Television course. So we're both taking those modules together and working through those 3 classes together, as well as reading a whole bunch of different readings. I have basically uploaded like 20 pilots, and I've assigned anywhere from 2 to 3 pilots per week for each of us to read. I have assigned certain books to our writing schedule, and those books include Writing the Pilot by Will Rabkin. They include the TV Writer's Toolkit by Jen Grisanti. It includes the, what is this called? Let me look at my, and I'll also put these below, but I just want these to be on hand right now. It also includes Writing the TV Drama Series by Pamela Douglas. It also includes the Developing a Series with Series Bible, a production guide for writing series Bibles for TV, film, and fiction by Wade Pena and Phil Ziza. And then it also, so those are all the required readings, okay? Those books plus a whole bunch of pilot episodes plus a whole bunch of seminar notes that I took when I was attending the Scriptwriters Network events. So just notes from how to pitch, from all the way to how to manage your career and how to rewrite your script. So I included that material in with our little syllabus and schedule. And then on top of it, I divided the next 12 weeks up into thematic weeks. So our first week of working together, we'll just be focusing on introducing ourselves to TV writing and to the industry. The next week is going to be about concept, the franchise, conflict, and just developing the world of your series that you want to, write in. The next week is going to be about character development. That's going to be a big, heavy week. And then the week after that is going to be about weaving in intrigue, mystery, twist turns, and creating an addictive plot. And so we're reading pilots from Orphan Black, we're reading Game of Thrones, we're reading Breaking Bad, How to Get Away with Murder, Scandal, The Walking Dead. We're reading Altered Carbon, which I'm excited about. At some point, we'll be reading The Handmaid's Tale. I'm not really sure where in the next 8 weeks out after week 4 that will fit. I'm sure it'll fit somewhere. I just haven't thought about it enough. So we're going to be doing that. We'll be reading the pilots from Jane the Virgin and This Is Us, to deal with character development and things like that. So I really put my foot into this entire syllabus and schedule so that not only are we on point with developing a TV Bible, a pitch document, and a kick-ass pilot for Pendragon, but we are also educating ourselves about the craft and the business of television writing and television producing and television show running. That was really important to me, to make this entire process for the both of us as comprehensive and as educational as possible. So, and it's going to be great. Not only are we doing all this sort of together independently, but we're also meeting once a week for 4 hours at a time, and we'll be breaking it up with lunch. And so it'll be a nice, basically a writer's meeting every single week with lunch, and just doing really awesome stuff that we really enjoy. And it's going to be amazing, and I'm excited. So that is a big part of my creative uni for the summer. So much so that I'm actually not really sure if I'll be able to get to any other major areas of creative uni for the summer. But I think even if all I do is study TV writing this summer and write my novels, I think that is actually excellent and wonderful. Because at least I would have gotten through that entire track, quote unquote, on my creative uni syllabus. And then I will have pretty much the rest of the year to do the filmmaking and screenwriting tracks, which I'm really excited about and amped about. So yeah, that's what's been going on this week, guys. I guess it did turn out to be a little bit more than I thought. But for the most part, I am just trying to take care of myself, just physically, emotionally, mentally, but also kick ass with my art. And, I'm really enjoying the collaboration that I'm having between myself and my 2054 anthology crew, and myself and my writing partner for Pendragon, which is going to be boss and baller. So and that to me is an accomplishment, because I do believe around this time last year I was talking a lot about creative isolation, and I feel like I'm finally being able to break out of that, while at the same time realizing when I do need to be creatively isolated. So just growth all around, and I just hope that I'll continue to grow. And I will see you guys then next Monday. Hopefully I'll be a little less sore from all the lifting I've been doing. My goodness, I can barely like raise my arm, but I will raise my arm to say goodbye. And I love you guys. Stay indie, stay creative, stay badass, keep creating, and I will talk to you guys next week. Mwah. Bye.